What is the most NSFW thing you have seen at an office gathering or party? First Christmas party at a tech startup. Go to the bathroom towards the end of the night. Realize mid-piss that the sounds coming from the stall next mine are the CTO and his wife going at it. Step out of the stall and the CEO and some sales guys are doing lines. CEO sees me and shouts, "Hey, it's Jared." My name isn't Jared. He called me Jared for about 6 months after that until I pulled him aside and corrected him one day. Fun times. We had a Mardi Gras themed holiday party. One guy decided to bring his saxophone and be a jazz man. Normal enough, right? Well, he also thought that to be a jazz man, he needed to show up in blackface. Luckily, this is rural Wisconsin and no one at the company was black, so we all just got really drunk and told him he's an idiot. Went out for drinks with co-workers after service. It was a lunch-focused restaurant, and by the end of the night, one of our cashiers decided to lactate on me from across the table. A co-worker once stood on a swively chair. Didn't witness this one but heard that this happened just a few months before I was hired. We had a wine tasting for the managers with just some cheese, minor hors d'oeuvres, etc. One particular manager got completely sloshed on wine and got super flirty with another manager from a different department who was significantly younger and good looking. At some point, this young lady put some scented lotion on her hands. Smelling this, the drunk manager came over to her and pulled his D out and asked her to put some lotion on there too. Right in the middle of the room and tasting. I heard he was gone instantly. He was recently found out to currently be a tour guide on a duck boat and a bad one at that. Work party. One guy took a shit in the toilet followed by grabbing the vacuum cleaner and sucking it all up. Used to work for a big bank. We had a little potluck for Christmas. And long story short, about 2 hours later, someone ate in the bathroom and smeared it literally, and I mean literally, all over the bathroom stalls, the wall, the stall door handle, the toilet sensor, ducking everywhere. It looked like a XXL Hershey bar stepped on an IED. We never did quite catch the elusive poop handle bandit. Legend says he's still out there, ravaging the latrines of financial institutions to this day. I went to a customer's holiday party. It was a bit of a good old boy company, so it was at the shop and mostly drinking and grilling with funny awards. It was mandatory and had a dress code, so all these guys were as cleaned up as they could get, but in clothes that didn't fit right anymore ever and whatnot. Also a sausage fest since women are rare in industry and most if the guys were bachelors. The guys drank like it was water in the desert and decided to move it to a local bar they frequent. Well, that bar was hosting the holiday party for a lab and was a total clam bake until we showed up. You mix drunk nerdy girls and drunk manly men and you end up with a lot of finger banging and it ain't discreet. It was a match made in heaven. Absolutely no fallout. A female bartender was egging them on and the boss men had gone to a different bar. They often ran into those girls at lunch there, but there were no repeat performances. I was the one who started giving him head in the middle of the party. It's okay though. We're still together to this day. Co-worker threw his desk chair out of a 4-story window after having a few too many. A group of girls pre-gamed the Christmas party pretty hard. They show up wearing prom dresses and 20 minutes later, the most smashed if the girls is out back with her prom dress hiked up above her waist, panties at her knees, bent over taking it from some dude. This set the tone for the rest of the night. Marriages were unintentionally put on hold so drunken co-workers could gain carnal knowledge of each other. Many walks of shame the following day. Last year's work Christmas party. One woman, known for overdrinking, overdrank. She came to sit at the table I was at and proceeded to sit down. Where their WSS no chair, straight on her ass. Later that night she was grinding on one of the boss's girlfriends and apparently tried to talk the boss and his girl into a 3-way. She is still confused why she didn't get the promotion she was going for at the time. That would have granted her a company credit card and had her taking clients out to dinners. Karaoke started with 2 assistants, both women, doing a ballad together, in rapid succession, on the stage, and with plenty of drinks between the following things happened. Those 2 women sing a few songs while clutching each other and giggling the entire time. Some less than wholesome dancing together to a George Michael song. Remaining on the stage, one of them sits in a rolling chair while the other serenades gives a lap dance to her to Santa Baby. At this point, another woman in the office decides it's best to throw some cold water on this party by cutting off the karaoke and play a Christmas music CD. First song is All I Want for Christmas Is You. The two women turn this into what seems like the perfect song to sexy slow dance to. Much caressing and grinding happening. They are finally broken up once they start making out and light groping each other while trying to hide behind a Santa hat that one of them is holding up covering their faces. Worked in a warehouse for a while. We had regular awards nights where we'd all get ducked up and hand out stupid awards like Driver of the Year for the person who had the worst forklift accident or who crashed her work car. Other things of note: 1. Doing lines with the boss off his desk every party. 2. Married co-workers banging in the car park. 3. The mentally handicapped and very drunk cleaner getting wrapped in packing tape by 3 guys. 4. Having forklift races in the aisles of the warehouse. Forklifts being driven by guys who are plastered. 5. Using forklifts to lift each other to the roof of the warehouse. I don't miss my old job, but damn I miss the parties. When I was a teenager, I volunteered to DD at a fancy dinner for the local RCMP detachment. Police had some bigwigs from provincial headquarters and such. I think it was like the station's 50th anniversary or something similar. Jesus Christ. One cop got on stage with the band and started singing. Was really good actually. One female cop dancing on a table broke it and went face first into the floor. Kept on partying once the blood stopped. There was a young new cop that year. Ripped good looking guy. So this guy was getting panties thrown at him left, right and center. Driving him and his current date home, they ducked in the back seat. He slipped me $20 and told me I saw nothing. I saw everything. Next trip the cop and his wife were drunk but nothing outrageous. But as they were getting out, he casually tossed what ended up being a pair of thong panties into the front seat and saying something I didn't quite hear. I assumed they were from the previous couple. And my favorite was driving one of the higher ranking police officers in my province back to his hotel and he just fell over as I rounded a curve. Like a tree. Unconscious. Had to get hotel staff to help drag him out. Now imagine all this with Mounties dressed in their red serge. And these are just the things I saw. My buddies who were DDing have similar tales. Hard to take a cop seriously when he's giving you a ticket for speeding in a car you watched him finger a girl's ass in. I worked at Macca's and we had a work party. Some of the crew volunteered to run the night shift while the rest of us went 10-pin bowling and drank scrumpies. I was a manager, so I got to see the camera footage the next day. It was of me walking around the restaurant and kitchen with my pants down, shaping my balls to look like a brain and making people look at my taut scrot. There were also brown eyes and squashed rats, which is where you press your D and balls up against the glass. That was me in the drive-through window. I woke up horrified and knew I was in trouble. There was a small fallout. I miraculously didn't get fired. No one formally complained. My punishment was to wash car windows as they went through drive-through on my day off and donate the tips to the Ronald McDonald House charity. My husband's old company decided that they weren't going to invite spouses to the Christmas party. Okay, I dropped him off so he could drink freely. No big deal. After he called me to pick him up, I ended up waiting in my car for nearly half an hour, watching some of his male co-workers through the window getting lap dances from some female co-workers. A bunch of people from the office decided to get together and head to a foam party. One of the girls got white girl wasted and stripped down to nothing but her panties and danced on one of the tables. Made for an interesting night. I joined a company and was hired by the new boss. Most of the tenured employees were against new boss and his new hires. Every conversation was dependent on who was present and how private it was. Bad environment. Cue the team builder. The majority of the team had worked together for a while and partied hard. The new people, including management, had no idea how bad of an idea a bar setting was. We all got a meal and 2 drinks on the company's dime. People were asking right away if they could trade their meal for more booze. After the budget was spent, you could see the managers trying to be fun and participate and just accept that it was a rich hour in the making. They excused themselves and left. I was new and didn't want to ride the sinking ship, but I stayed for a while. The crew was great and fun. They obviously had a work relationship, and the bar setting brought out the intimacies that never had an opportunity to blossom completely. 2 people ended up hooking up. A bunch of people smoked weed in a car, and the crazy thing was the girl showed everyone her fake tits to everyone at the bar. There was a stronger bond after that. The management didn't last, but I did. Better management came in after that and cleaned the house. But that team builder was the most ridiculous work thing I've ever been to. Saw tits. There was a co-worker who arrived in a giant baby diaper with nothing else on except sneakers. And someone smeared chocolate frosting on his diaper at some point. Not super wild, but this was a dry party. Saw a drunk dude getting a handy under the table from another drunk dude. Both of them were supposedly straight when not drunk. First year at the company. Married CEO all over an employee pretty much in front of the whole company. Awkward AF. Both really drunk. The fact that they didn't start making out in front of everyone was a Christmas miracle. All 30 of us ended up on top of a mountain at sunrise. Naked and drunk. We then went for breakfast and back to work. Edit. Christ, this blew up. I certainly didn't work in the most formal office ever, but this was still pretty weird. One guy whipped out some sort of melon bong. Like this, except with an actual melon. Fruit cup trash, as opposed to a delicious watermelon. We all get silent and look at the top boss, who contemplates for a second. Then he's like, hell yeah, you better share. And everyone was joyous again. Edit. Also, I got that picture from another Reddit post from like 3 years ago. Not trying to take credit for anyone else's work. An exec looked at a picture of my wife and did a little nod and wink while we drank gin and tonics. The absolute madman. Oh boy. It was at our annual awards dinner where they award Department of the Year, Employee of the Year, a couple other things for people who'd been there a long time. Woman from my department showed up with a bottle of vodka in her purse. The meal was free, the booze wasn't, and it was expensive. So people at the table were getting sodas, free, and mixing at the table. It happened every year. The venue mostly overlooked it. Woman who brought the bottle drank quite a lot of it. I mean, probably half of it herself over the course of the evening. When the dancing started later on, she was boombead. She was wearing this strappy dress that she kept falling out of. At one point she was pulling it up, too, to show off her thong. At some point she lost said thong and was sitting on the stage with her skirt pushed up to her hips and showing off everything. She got fired. Duck it. No throwaway. This will bite me in the ass. I was working for a large Canadian telecom company about 6 years ago. Our office was downtown in a major city and we liked to go for drinks or food after work. One night I ended up with a group that included 3 of my bosses, a new assistant, and 2 colleagues who had the same position as myself. After hours of clubbing we realized the last buses were gone and it was cold out. The girls were wearing dresses, the guys suits. Not the best attire for Canadian winters at night. One of the managers suggested we go back to our office and keep the party going. I was pretty drunk, so I laid down on one of the lobby couches when we arrived at the office and fell asleep. I was woken up shortly by a sobbing receptionist. She had started dating one of the managers and came by the office because a friend of hers told her he was still at the office. I looked up to see what she was so upset about, and right through the floor to ceiling glass walls are 2 of the managers, one of which was her boyfriend, double teaming the new assistant on the conference table, literally on the table, in full sight of us. I did the only appropriate thing, went right back to sleep, left in the morning before staff came in and never went back. I didn't quit. Didn't tell anyone what happened either. I just stopped answering my phone and emails and found another job. I didn't want to get caught up in the impending HR show. At our Christmas party recently I put a co-worker on my shoulders and carried him along so he could attach some tinsel to the beams in the roof. That was pretty unsafe. Someone did offer a ladder halfway through but we were already on a roll. My Christmas party is on Friday. Guess I should just stick to beer. Went as a date to a lawyer girl's work party. Open bar. Phenomenal food. Everything was amazing except the smell periodically through the night. Turns out one of the younger interns found out he never got the job opening. So he hit himself and drank all night, acting as if nothing ever happened. My ex-girlfriend's parents own a restaurant and every year they throw a huge Christmas party. The party is always great and is open bar with a great band playing. One year when I was walking into the kitchen to restock the beer, I opened the door to see a dishwasher and a waitress serving 6 on the dishwasher counter. I quietly walked out and got a group of people together to walk in and embarrass them, and it was the highlight of the party. Some fat naked short dude exploded out of the leather couch. I posted this in another thread about work events and thought it might add to this thread too. When I was in my early 20s, I was working at a restaurant with the world's nicest and most innocent group of guys. One weekend, we threw a bachelor party for one of the waiters who was marrying his HS sweetheart. Beer, strippers at someone's house. Crazy. We all hooted and hollered when the strippers tore off their clothes and walked around the room to each guy. We whistled and giggled when the bachelor got a personal show with whipped cream. Good times. As the girls were ending the show, they asked if anyone had any requests before they packed up. One of the cooks, who was at least 20 years older than most of us, walked over and had a serious 5-minute conversation with the girls. He then turned to us and said that we all had to cough up $300 if we wanted to see something special. Without hesitation, we handed the money to the girls and sat back in anticipation for what was sure to be a lovely show. He laid down on the floor and both girls pissed and it on him for the next 5 minutes. Guys were gagging. The bachelor started crying. I screamed in terror. One guy walked over to them and yelled, "Why? Why? Why?" It was as if the devil himself, in mere seconds, had snatched the innocent souls of 15 naive idiots. The show ended in silence. The girls freshened up and left with their ride. The cook slid on his jacket over his soiled clothes, walked out into the cold night and never returned for his shifts. When I used to work for a large corporate law firm, a guy and a girl who both worked in the accounts team got in an argument. One thing led to another and the girl threw her glass of red wine over his white shirt. Without missing a beat, he just grabbed her by the throat and started choking her. This was just off the side of the dance floor, in front of 300+ staff. Thanksgiving at my shop, we all drew hand turkeys on the whiteboard. Co-worker and his wife show up to our black tie Christmas party and she is wearing a slutty Santa's helper outfit. Like this, not a huge deal, but then she proceeded to get hammered drunk, flashed all of us lucky enough to be at her table, and then took pics of her ass and tits in the photo booth at the back of the room. I guess she didn't realize or care that we could all see on the screen what she was doing in there. The whole time the husband was just laughing and acting like it was no big deal. Summer Clark event. Clark has brought his GF, who was very attractive. Marizo that you would have thought this Clark capable, and everyone is having a good time. Dinner ends and people are deciding where to go out drinking, when server shows up with a tray full of tequila shots. Partner's wife has ordered about 15-20 shots for the maybe 10 people still standing there. Anyway, we start to get to work on the shots and now partner's wife, who we are realizing is really drunk, wants to do body shots. Long story short, a minute later, partner's wife is sucking salt of the nape of Clark's GF's neck while everyone, but mostly the Clark, is nervously laughing. We all head to the bar, except partner and wife apparently go home rather than join us. Clark and GF don't last much longer as the wheels come flying off her wagon at the bar about 15 minutes later. Good times. Good times. For your information, Clark is now a 4th year associate and I don't believe I've seen the partner's wife at a firm function in quite some time. Went to bar for after party. Dude was playing pool with girls, was getting killed, whipped his balls out and put out them on that table. Just recently went to my girlfriend's vet office Christmas party at the owner's very nice house. The party is known for everyone jetty extremely wasted. I'm driving so I stayed relatively sober. My GF on the other hand did not. She was already quite tipsy off of all kinds of mixed drinks. I head to the bathroom down the hall for 5 minutes. Come back to realize she had taken 3 shots. 2 is her total drinking limit. Fast forward and cut 10 minutes and she's absolutely sloshed. She requests to go to the bathroom and starts asking everyone the quickest way to get there like we're about to go on a road trip or something. I escort her carefully and let her do the booziness. While waiting I got caught up talking to a bunch of co-workers and kinda forgot she was in the bathroom. About 15 minutes later she comes rushing out saying we have to leave because she does not feel good. I inform everyone we are going to head out when I hear someone yell, "Oh duck," from the bathroom hall. Turns out in that 15 minutes, my girlfriend managed to completely break the toilets in half, causing the plumbing pipe from the wall to explode as well, which started flooding the room. As an added bonus, she decided to start throwing up at the front door as well. Let's just say I sobered up real quick. Anyways, the folks were super supportive of it, even though they had to replace the flooring, plumbing, and the toilet. Didn't even make her pay anything. The owner also posted pictures on Facebook of his broken toilet and said it was the best party they've had in a while. I worked at Playboy, so everything? Our payroll manager got blackout drunk at a Christmas party a few years ago and started insulting people and telling them that they weren't worth how much they were getting paid, while quoting the actual salaries. She was fired the next day, but didn't even remember what she'd done. My supervisor and I somehow ended up on the couch in the basement of another co-worker's Christmas party, watching demon porn. Was interning at a Fortune 500 insurance company in college. New, less than month. Underwriting intern decided it'd be a good idea to get it faced at the company's summer party, where all the spouses and kids show up. He kept it together until he saw the wine bottles, opened one up, started drinking directly from the bottle, gets blasted. The two highest in command people see where this is going. They stay later than intended to make sure he's okay. Order him an expensive Uber ride back to his place. They paid for it. Dude loses it. Yells at the Uber driver to tell him to take him back. No one knows how he got home. 3 days later, Monday, super awkward hellos, and he was kindly given the chance to resign instead of being fired. TLDR. Don't do stupid it when you're an intern. My co-worker basically diddled herself in the middle of my boss's wedding reception, in front of most of my boss's extended family. Good times. Someone left some of their required PPE laying about. A giant black D cake with white ice dripped onto it.